James, I knew old Full James. He was doing the planting in the 1930s at the Kaingaroa Forest, a tree planting, and he came here and he set up his own fishing camp. And after that, until 1970s, it was always called, if not put on the maps, as Full James Rapids. And so they did away with the old Maori name. Now, Full James Rapids was what it was called, but to add to confusion, later trustees came and they called this power station Ngā Awa Purua and said it's named after a rapid. And the rapid is not Ngā Awa Purua. The awa is where those rocks divide, they're normally covered over. That was the awa, the division. Ngā Awa Purua, Ngā Awa Purua. And so that, and on the right side was the little Maori settlement. It was called. And Pataromo was traced from the Maori at what now Waipahihi, and because they couldn't catch up to him, and he came over and he swam across here, they were so annoyed, they went and caught the canoe all the way from Waipahihi and dragged it over here, came down here, and then caught up with him just downstream, and he suffered a sword cut to his head. Scar he bore all his life. Pataromo was had such mana that no less than his lifetime 3 war parties came just to capture him for the mana of having him. The last people were Hawke's Bay Kahununu, and he was ransomed out from him. One lot was Waikato Tainui, had him prisoner, and but that is Pataromo's little part in this place. The hill across there, Rua Wahine, was where Ngāti Tahu people with the cultivations and that used to take the mother's milk of the fern root. Was such a high quality that grew to about this level, this height, that it was exchanged or taken over by Maori to Whakaipo Bay. And directly river, the flow of the river. Each day we're working here, but we found a thick layer, no less than 5 centimetres of pure kokowai that they'd taken in, harvested, taken in to prepare and to use here. There was shell and obsidian and other things, and flicks and baskets and different things over the years, and some have ended up in private collections. Now this was noted with all the ceiling and the carvings, but on both sides of the wall, the carvings are a bit different, and the oldest ones were at this other end, this western end, and they'd done fine detail and they applied kokowai with it. Unfortunately, when I was to Michael Trotter, a few shovels of a slip, and shortly after there must have been a light slip that came down and covered them, and they were in pristine condition, and for want of 15 minutes we could have exposed and taken record. And Michael Trotter, oh no, and next thing the whole lot's gone. So we had another type of carvings, all daubed and overlaid with kokowai that lost on record, and it could well have been the earlier ones before they started doing the ceilings. And then they had the missionary influence unisil writing over on the carvings. The carvings were big to do because it was soft material that they could work out on. Now one of the great chiefs here was Rangipitoto. You heard of Rangipitoto? Rangipitoto held such mana, he held off the people from Waikato, he was able to hold off people from Arawa, and he was the protector of Tūwhare down the end of the lake. And the rahuis and that was set up. In his time, there's a hill just out of sight called Kaimanawa, not the Kaimanawa of the Kaimanawa range for Ngāti Manawa, Ngāti Apa, but Kaimanawa here, Kaimanawa Hill, and he's buried on top of it. It's just out of sight of those hills, the hill he's buried on, and he had sway of all the lands right up to Arake Karako, coming back here. And Rangipitoto was the son of Tarama, and Tarama, who had more land than his older brother, had the land at the Kaingaroa because two of his wives, of four of his wives he married into, was a descendant of a woman who had mana most of Kaingaroa lands all the way to toward Murupara, and that was she was called Waka Roa-art, and her mana and a great mana for a woman laid in her time, and her sons were Tarama and Matarai. And Tarama and Matarai at Reparoa today, in Tuki Road, you've got two marae named after those two people. And so then the connection comes there. Under Rangipitoto, his own leaders in that warded off and killed off an entire army that Whaitaima fled from, but their goal was to attack and overtake Te Aroha Maori. They came in an army, not a war party, an army. They didn't get past several kilometres downstream. They never got past Ngāti Tahu. And there was only one survivor left to tell the story, and a woman was seen getting into a waka, part of the attacking party, counter-attacking party, and she was last seen drifting down in a waka, cursing them all. And so that was the end of the army. There's I know the place where the fighting and that took place, but you won't find any bones in that. They're all taken to the other side of the river and consumed. Their own leader was cooked his own cooking pool, thermal area, and he was cooked separately. But there's a stream named after him as a leader within Ngāti Tahu lands, an actual stream named after that. He started life, he came over from Maniaputu lands, right across the ranges and that with his army. And so the stories, there's counts and everything here, and the places and the names are all through these lands. A given narrative of Rua Hoata, as I say, this was Rangipitoto's personal sleeping cave, Rua Hoata. What Jared doesn't know, there was a much bigger one across the river here, and downstream with the rocks is Awa Parua, and that's where wrongly the power station thinks that's the name of the waterfalls. When the water starts coming, this will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and the water will come up to here. We'll be up.
We'll be out of here by then.
Right now, even the lower rapids won't be quite filling up with water. That's way upstream. So you're quite safe with me. But the name of these rapids and the waterfall, the rapid, is Ngātoro Whakarai.
Ngātoro
Whakarai.
Whakarai. Whakarai. Ngātoro Whakarai.
Yes. And that's the name of the original name of the rapids, and the big cave. The big cave was the cave Pa. And Ngāti Whawa and Ngāti Tahu both lived in there. I've no idea whether there were carvings or markings of that. And that got lost in a big flood surge that came down here about 1897. And the cave on that side where the water was swept away, as I say, particularly features this side. And they had little marvellous little kokowai and that things.
So underneath the slip is where the cave was?
No, we're standing where the cave was.
Oh, okay.
Where
so there's
we
an
are,
awful lot of erosion that's happened.
This is about 20 years of continuous erosion. The water's sweeping through, and they just collapse and collapse. I had Maori people say, "Kura, I don't see why you bother." And he said, one Maori elder, he said, I see, well, it's about 10% left. He said, why bother then? I said, it's all more reason we try and get recognised and identify the little bit that's remaining. But I can't get that through.
Yeah, if you don't value something, it doesn't matter if there's 100% of it or 1% of it, it's not valued.
Well, that's right.